Right now at 5, federal disaster declaration. Which areas will now receive assistance as Governor John Bel Edwards tours the water-damaged areas on the North Shore.
And our first bird's eye view of the flooding across the North Shore. We take a look at pictures and video from the sky of the extent of the destruction.
Plus, fairy godmothers and godfathers needed. Who's putting out the call to make next Friday night very special for some deserving children? Those stories and more right now.
Live, local, late-breaking. This is WDSU News at 5.
First at 5 o'clock, miles of damage across the North Shore as we get our first view of just how widespread this historic flooding is. And within the past hour, President Obama named St. Tammany, Washington, Tangipahoa, and Livingston parishes federal disaster areas. Good afternoon, I'm Scott Walker.
And I'm Adriana Hopkins. From new video of flooding from the sky to road closures and the water levels, we do have you covered with team coverage tonight.
First, reporter Heath Allen. And Heath, the governor toured the damage in St. Tammany earlier. You talked to him last hour. What's the latest?
Well, here is the latest. Governor John Bel Edwards has spent the last several days going all over the state. This flooding event that has taken place affected border to border, border to border, north, south, east, west. So he has been touring all of these areas, and today his touring brought him to St. Tammany Parish. These are not sightseeing events. They've been gathering information, making assessments because they want to get these federal declarations. They've had representatives of FEMA who have been traveling with them. So yesterday they were kind of looking to hear word on whether or not those federal declarations came through for this part of the country. They landed here at the Covington Fairgrounds. They got into a motorcade and took off to kind of take a look on the ground at the parish. And while they were in that motorcade, this area got some pretty good news from the governor.
Well, yesterday late, we asked for an additional 16 parishes to be included in the federal disaster declaration, including St. Tammany Parish. And we got word as we were on a tour with President Brister here that declaration had been expanded to include St. Tammany, which now opens the door for individual assistance to those individuals who've suffered as a result of the flood.
And that information that you're hearing from the governor right now really is just a matter of minutes old. As the governor boarded the helicopters and took off, he headed for the eastern portion of St. Tammany Parish, where there are still some problems being encountered from the Pearl River. He's going to take a look from the air there before he heads back to Baton Rouge. In St. Tammany, Heath Allen, back to you.
All right, Heath, thanks. In Slidell, water from the river there is flooding homes, businesses, and roads. Today we got our first look from the sky at just how bad that damage is. Meteorologist Quaylen Murphy continues our team coverage now. And Quaylen, there's new information that you have on road closures.
That's right, Scott. Within the last 20 minutes, the officials closed Military Road from Old River Road to Shortcut. Now closed. In addition to that, 190 east at Apple Pie to US 90 is closed. Right now, we're on Indian Village Road. This road's still open, but high water signs still in the streets. And we're at the Indian Road Village Trading Post. That's the gas station here, which has become like a community center of sorts, with officials standing by for rescues, residents coming in and out to pick up small items that they may need throughout the day, as well as gas. But Mark Chapman, our photographer, captured an aerial view this afternoon via helicopter of all the waters widespread across the area and parts of St. Tammany Parish. Just to give you an idea, Indian Village is about 11 miles south of Pearl River. So you have the Pearl River from the north, which continues to flow south. Even though it crested yesterday, impacts certainly still being felt here in this neighborhood. We're standing again in the roadway, and we're told that this portion of the roadways is actually a little bit lower than what they're encountering around their residences, but just getting back there is a feat in itself. We have seen some rescues throughout the day, but we talked to Joe Malone earlier today. He's the owner of Indian Village Trading Post. Here's what he had to say.
It really started picking up yesterday around midday. People going in and out trying to get stuff moved out back there. There's a lot of people that gotten displaced back there. I have a camp back by the boat launch on the river, and right now just got a report from back there. It's like it's about 4 inches getting in it, and hopefully it don't come up no more than what it is now.
So what's understood is that this will be a slow regression. People in here are taking it in stride. We have lots of sunshine, but certainly they are preparing for the additional aggravation of potential rainfall starting late Wednesday night, of course, and through Friday. Live from Indian Village Road, I'm meteorologist Quaylen Murphy. Back to you.
All right, Quaylen, thanks. And right now we know the flooding of the Pearl River won't really see any significant decline until Thursday.
Yeah, that's right. Meteorologist Jay Gallet is in the Weather Center with the latest numbers. Jay?
Yeah, and if it wasn't for the rain that we're expecting Wednesday, Thursday, and possibly into Friday, that river may start falling a little bit sooner, but you've got to take that into account, and that's why this is going to be a slow fall of those river levels. Let's talk about where the Pearl River is right now. At Pearl River, like Quaylen said, it is just north, about 10-11 miles of Slidell, but you are feeling effects in and around Slidell, especially extreme south and eastern Slidell, where there is minor flooding going on. 19.7 right now. It is falling, but it is going to be a slow fall, holding steady. Pearl River up in Bogalusa, steady right now at about 21.1, and the Boga Chitto at Bush, 13.7. That is beginning to fall. So all of the rivers locally are falling as we start working in just a little bit of sunshine mixed in with that cloud cover. Temperatures right now at the airport in Kenner, 81 degrees, some clouds and sun, winds out of the southwest at 15. It has been breezy. So upper mid-70s at 6 o'clock this evening, upper 60s by tomorrow morning, a stray shower. When I come back, I'll show you when the bulk of the rain is expected.
All right, we'll see you in a few minutes, Jay. Roadway confusion since this morning. Drivers have been getting mixed signals as to whether Interstate 10 along the Louisiana-Texas border is open or closed. And this is all because of the flooding of the Sabine River. Reporter Natalie He continues our team coverage in Laplace to explain the closure concerns. Natalie.
Yeah, that's right, Adriana. All day officials have been going back and forth on whether I-10 is actually closed or open, and at this time I-10 westbound is closed until further notice. That's causing drivers to add up to several hours to their total travel time.
Yeah, I was actually supposed to be back tonight for tomorrow, but it ain't gonna happen.
Carl Crochet has been a truck driver for nearly 15 years. Every week he drives from New Orleans to Houston, but I-10 westbound closures are throwing him off schedule.
Right now, 8 hours, you figure probably double that.
I think it could be double that.
Oh, I guarantee it will be.
Mike Wood with Timco Logistics was also heading west, driving from Kenner to Temple, Texas.
Now I'm going to go up to Shreveport, Louisiana, and then start cutting down on 79, cut through the woods through Texas to get back down to Temple.
He says the Interstate 20 detour that both Louisiana and Texas officials are recommending could add several more hours to his route, not to mention the traffic.
A couple hours. It's about 120 miles further, 130 miles further.
Wood says even if I-10 did open last minute, he wouldn't take the risk.
Because you can get over there and it's closed and then you're stuck. So, no, it's better off just to plan your route around it, go around it and be done with it.
So we spoke to Louisiana officials and they're recommending several different options for reroutes. That includes I-49 North to US 190 West. And for more details, of course, you can head to WDSU.com. Reporting now near Interstate 10 in Laplace, Natalie He, WDSU News.
All right, thanks, Natalie. In the most devastating times, like the flooding on the North Shore and those recent tornadoes, that's when we see the best of humanity, people helping people.
WDSU photojournalist Jeremy Burson shows us how one nonprofit and church are assisting those who need it the most.
This is one of many distributions we've been doing that we will be doing this week. We have one here in Franklinton today, as well as one in Bush, and we'll have others through the week. Disaster response has actually been part of our core mission for over 30 years. We're sending out lots of pallets of food, water, supplies.
Lost everything, have no food.
You can see where the water line was right here.
In our house, it was 5 foot of water.
A lot of people are just now getting back into their houses that were flooded for a couple of days, and they've got a lot of work ahead of them just trying to clean up.
Basically, gutted.
In an hour, maybe 3-4 feet, if not more.
Our neighbor called and woke us up. The water was already to here.
We thought we can get out, but we couldn't. We had to climb out windows and pile out the car and swim.
If not for the efforts of local food banks like this that we support, there's no telling where a lot of folks would be.
If they didn't have something like this, we wouldn't know what we would be able to do.
The people came in here with the clothes on their back.
The least valuable things become the most precious things.
It's very hard to see folks going through that, but it's also rewarding to know that we can help folks like that and help food pantries like this across 23 parishes that we support.
And I was able to get some clothes here for me and my kids and my husband. So they have everything, you know, shoes, you name it.
Just makes me feel so grateful because I never thought I would get so excited over clean clothes.
And there are several other organizations helping out the flooding victims. We'll have that information as we go to break in this newscast and on WDSU.com. More coverage on the severe flooding on the North Shore on our website, WDSU.com, and our smartphone app.
Well, new at 5 now. After almost 10 years as the leader of Southern University of New Orleans, the school's chancellor is leaving and returning to his native country. In a letter, Dr. Victor Okpolo says he came to America 44 years ago with just $200 in his pocket, and he went from a dishwasher to the president of a university. Okpolo said before leaving Nigeria, he promised his parents he would only stay in the U.S. for 5 years. And after officially stepping down on June 30th, Okpolo will continue to teach classes at SUNO before then returning to Africa to become the patriarch of his family. Okpolo has been chancellor of SUNO since 2006. And happening tomorrow, UNO's next president will be announced. John Nicklow, UNO Provost and Vice President for Academic Affairs, as well as Andy Copeland, First Deputy Mayor for the City of New Orleans. They're both up for the job. That search comes at a tough time for students and staff, with cuts to higher education looming. Also happening tomorrow, the daughter of a slain New Orleans police officer will plant a garden in honor of her late father. Kayla Holloway, the daughter of NOPD officer Daryl Holloway, is on spring break from Howard University and will be joined by 50 of her fellow classmates to plant that garden. That's from noon until 2 at the 5th District Police Station on North Claiborne. Still ahead, it's another one being called Super Tuesday, but why for some presidential candidates tonight may be known as Survival Tuesday instead. A report from the campaign trail is ahead. And the journey to sainthood is just about complete for Mother Teresa when she'll get the Catholic Church's highest honor. And here's what we're working on for the news at 6 o'clock. Paying more for a rental car, even a hotel. A look at the tax bill signed into law by Governor Edwards and why it's not enough to cover the state's debt. And Confederate controversy, the fuss over the Mississippi state flag. Those stories and more coming up new tonight at 6 o'clock. And as we go to break, a live look outside right now, and we'll also show you some of those organizations that are offering their assistance to North Shore flooding victims and how you can donate.
Live, local, late breaking. This is WDSU News at 5 with Scott Walker, Adriana Hopkins, and Chief Meteorologist Margaret Orr.
In the race for the White House, it is Mega Tuesday. 5 states are voting and 3 on the Republican side are winner take all. Donald Trump could all but lock up the nomination, or he could be derailed by Governor John Kasich in Ohio and Senator Marco Rubio in Florida. NBC's Steve Handelsman has tonight's Commitment 2016 report.
It's a good turnout in Florida. Marco Rubio hopes that can save him.
Don't stay home. Make sure no one stays home. We don't know how close this is going to be.
But many of them say their votes today go to Donald Trump.
Because I think that he's the person who can change this country.
I want to see somebody strong, a strong president. Not a weak one like we had for 8 years.
The current president weighed in, not naming Trump.
Our country has to toughen up, folks.
But deploring the violence and vulgarity at recent rallies.
And we've heard silence from too many of our leaders.
House Speaker Paul Ryan had criticized Trump 2 weeks ago, but Trump claimed today GOP leaders now accept he will be the nominee.
The biggest people in the party are calling.
Ryan said he called Trump to say the party elite won't pick the nominee.
The Republican primary voters are going to make this decision. This is not our decision to make.
But John Kasich today could take all of Ohio's delegates.
I feel great. We're going to win. I feel terrific.
And if Trump does lose Ohio, he might end up short of the delegates he'd need to lock the nomination. Ted Cruz, Kasich, Rubio, or others could fight for it at the convention. Hillary Clinton's road to the Democratic nomination looks smoother.
I've gotten more votes than anybody, including Donald Trump.
But Bernie Sanders winning Ohio today could stretch out the race that for Republican Marco Rubio could end tonight. I'm Steve Handelsman, NBC News, Miami.
And in other news around the world tonight, lawmakers are learning more about the water crisis in Flint, Michigan.
The House Committee on Oversight and Government Reform held a hearing on that disaster. 4 former Flint officials testified on the toxic water in that city, including 2 who refused to testify at the first hearing in February. Former Flint Mayor Dane Walling and a water expert with Virginia Tech University answered questions at this hearing. The Michigan Governor Rick Snyder will testify Thursday.
Pope Francis announced today that Mother Teresa will become a saint. She is known across the world for her work with the poor in the slums of India. She died in 1997 and was beatified by the now deceased Pope John Paul II, who approved a first posthumous miracle. And back in December, Pope Francis recognized a second miracle attributed to Mother Teresa, paving the way to her sainthood. She'll be canonized on September 4th of this year.
Hi, I'm meteorologist Jay Galley in for Chief Meteorologist Margaret Orr. Looking behind me, we're on the North Shore there in Hammond, North Oaks Medical Center camera. Some sunshine, a little bit of cloud cover. Let's talk about the river stages because it is a concern for many people across the area. We'll get in a little bit closer. The Pearl River causing all kind of problems in Pearl River and in and around the Slidell River. Right now, the gauge at Pearl River, 19.7. The flood stage was 14. It has already crested just below or just above 20 feet. It is going to be falling Sunday to about 16.1, so it's going to take a little while for that water to finally recede. Pearl River at Bogalusa, 21.8. It's kind of holding steady right now, but by Sunday should drop to about 20.9. And the Bogachita in Bush, 14 feet, flood stage at 11, should fall below that flood stage on Thursday. So the rivers will fall, going to be slowed down a little bit by some expected rain. We did hit 83 today, the high point of the day, so unseasonably warm. You can see the average is 72. Across the map right now, we're mainly trending in the upper 70s to lower 80s, so we still be able to continue to be a bit on the warm side. Southwesterly winds helping us to warm up. They're breezy, and it's helping to bring that Gulf moisture across the area. You can see anywhere from 15 to 20 mile-per-hour winds across the area. So we got a nice front that's developing, tracking toward the north. You can see we have a tornado watch that's up for parts of Illinois, so some nasty weather expected there in the upper Midwest. For us, we're going to just continue with some hazy sunshine until the sun sets. Now here's the front. It's going to track toward the south. I don't think we get much rain. I know the model is showing that. We're going to squeeze out some of that misty drizzle tomorrow. We're not going to really get a good rain chance as we continue ahead in time. This is overnight Wednesday into Thursday. We're going to get a disturbance in the upper levels moving across this front, and as a result, I think that's when we start seeing our best chance of rain. Looks like it's going to arrive later in the day on Thursday, which is good news because it's St. Patrick's Day. Lows tonight will drop to the 60s, maybe a few areas of fog, some morning low clouds, and again, misty drizzle a possibility. Upper 70s, lower 80s tomorrow. Stray shower, we'll put that in the forecast because it is a possibility. It's a slight one, but it is a possibility. Taking a look at your 7-day forecast, 60% chance of rain on Thursday. Again, St. Patrick's Day, if you're going uptown, take the umbrella just to be on the safe side. Rain on Friday, lingering on Saturday. By the time we get to Sunday, we are going to clear it out. It'll be cooler, sunny. Notice your highs on Sunday. Going to stay in the 60s, going to go with about the mid-60s. Back to you.
All right, Jay, thanks. We all got them in our Easter baskets as kids, those coloring books, but now some grown-ups are using a childhood hobby as therapy.
Why more adults are putting crayon to paper and coloring their way to relaxation.
Well, good afternoon. This is another Super Tuesday. We'll look at what could either make this a breakout night for Donald Trump or a long slog to the convention, and we'll look at Hillary Clinton's challenge in the Midwest. The NFL admission about concussions, and we'll talk about the reality for kids who want to play the sport, painkillers, addiction, and the sweeping new guidelines for how they should be dispensed. It's all coming up when we see you back here tonight for Nightly News.
New at 5, an event that's become a Good Friday tradition is in need of some fairy godmothers and godfathers. The annual Prom of Champions is putting out the call for hairstylists and barbers to volunteer to make the night special for some very deserving teens.
So if you are interested in volunteering your time and your services next Friday, send an email to promofchampions@gmail.com. Each year, the Prom of Champions hosts a big dance for teenagers in this community who are dealing with cancer and blood disorders. Well, they've been a part of children's lives for generations, of course, but why let your little ones have all the fun?
New at 5, reporter Kelly Bowman looks at the increasing popularity of coloring books for adults.
The key to de-stressing could be in your child's playroom. Grabbing a coloring book and some crayons is a hot new trend. That's proving what's fun for children may be relaxing for adults.
I think that it's a lot about the timing and people needing kind of a break. And so I think that that's part of what coloring lets us do. Detach from everything and also return to something that was really comforting when we were kids.
Sounds great, but before you run off and grab your son or daughter's coloring book, there's something you should know.
Adult coloring books are radically different from children's coloring books in that they're incredibly intricate and complicated.
Those small spaces and intricate details require more concentration and dexterity, which is meant to help you focus and relax. Remember, coloring shouldn't be stressful. When we think of relaxation, being alone in a quiet, dark room might come to mind. But it turns out there may be some benefits to taking out the colored pencils at your next girls' night.
There's a whole social aspect where people will gather and color. And what's amazing about that is that you can focus on coloring, but yet you can be social in talking.
No matter what format you choose, remember, coloring is personal to you.
It's definitely also a way to express your own creativity, really be adventurous. Also, get yourself some quality pencils.
For Health Minute, I'm Kelly Bowman.
Just last year, Crayola launched an adult line of coloring books.
And adult coloring trend has also reached New Orleans. There are several Big Easy inspired coloring books available online. When we checked, they were all sold out.
Any interest?
No. She said something about girls' night and coloring. Yeah. Girls' night is like Netflix and maybe some wine.
Well, my wife brought home some of those adult coloring books once, and I laughed. But then I looked at it and...
You started coloring.
Well, I haven't, but they look really cool. There's some really nice designs in there.
There you go.
So give it a
Jay,
shot.
how about you? Coloring for relaxation?
Oh no, I get all that kind of activity done here at work with my graphics and making colorful images. That's my art. Speaking of which, let me show you the 7-day forecast because we're going to start working in maybe a little bit of rain late tomorrow night as we get into Thursday, which is St. Patrick's Day. Might be a little wet, not going to be a washout. I think we get most of the rain in the evening hours overnight heading into Friday. We dry out completely by Sunday, sunny but cooler, highs mid-60s.
All right, thank you, Jay. That's it for us at 5. Nightly news is on the way next.
See you back here at 6.